And I really liked going to bars on off nights where the bartenders have time to chat with you.
And it's not like crazy and packed and not a bunch of like crazy people.
Yeah, like...
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Linecheck podcast. It's me, Brennan Villarreal, your host. Today I'm in the studio with Stacy Smith-Clark of Women Who Whiskey. How's it going?
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. It's really cool to have you in the studio today. I heard you're a fan of the podcast.
Huge fan, like stalker level fan.
It's funny because I was at Whole Foods shopping for a Got Your Back event, and this guy came up to me, but like I didn't really see it, and he like smacked the back of my shoulder and was like, "What's up, man?" He's like, "Thanks for." He's like, "I listen to Linecheck." He's like, "Good to see you. Good job." But I was like, just like in the zone of shopping for ingredients that I was just like, "What just happened?" And I was like, "Hey," and I always try to be like, "Hi, nice to meet you. What's your name?" To like make it seem like I'm there.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I'm getting used to it. People coming up to me on the street.
Yeah, you should. I mean, you're killing it.
I'm a very introverted person, which doesn't seem very likely for me to be on a podcast. But here I am, a year and some months doing it, one episode every single week.
Yeah.
But yeah, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about what Women Whiskey is and how it started? I think it's a very interesting story.
Okay, yeah. So Women Who Whiskey, we're the Long Beach chapter, and I'm the president. So we're one of 25 chapters. It's a social club, and it started 13 years ago in New York City by a lady named Julia Ritz-Toffoli. She would go to bars and order a whiskey, and when she would do that, oftentimes bartenders would say, "Are you sure you can handle that? Do you even like that? That seems like a really strong drink for a lady." And mansplaining, basically. And so she and her friends that liked whiskey, they just started going out in groups and just felt more comfortable in a group. And as her friends moved away, they started little whiskey clubs in other cities, and then it just grew from there. So California has 4 chapters in Los Angeles, the Bay Area, San Diego, and then I used to be part of the LA chapter, but Long Beach is so cool, and I'm born and raised here, and like we'd have amazing events as part of LA County, but nobody in LA wants to really leave their neighborhood. So we just started our own chapter in October of 2019, and it's been amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah, no one from LA wants to drive to Long Beach.
Yeah. It's
funny. It's because we're not cool. That's how I think they see it, which is fine because we are cool.
We're super, we're our own thing.
Yeah, we're not pretentious.
We're not pretentious.
We're just doing our own thing, and we just want to have fun.
Yeah, I think we're really authentic, but I also think we don't really care what other people think about us. So it's like, whatever. It's not fake. Yeah. And it's just like, if we're not for you, okay, go elsewhere.
Exactly. That's why I love Long Beach. So what kind of events do you guys do? Because you're telling me you do some at the Hawk, and which days are those?
So we're always at the Hawk the second Monday of the month. So that's the only consistent thing we do. And we've been doing that for... we were doing that when it was the LA chapter too. And we really launched our chapter with the Hawk because Kyle, the owner, and Devin, the bar manager, so supportive of us. So the second Monday of every month, we're there from 6 to 8 for a happy hour. Everybody's welcome. Despite the name Women Who Whiskey, we're women-centered, but everybody is welcome, again, because we're Long Beach and we're super chill. Whiskey's for everyone, but please don't mansplain us. But there's always also an educational component. So in addition to drinking and learning about cocktails and spirits, we also want to know how it's made, why it's made, what makes a bourbon, what makes a scotch. So oftentimes a brand will partner with us, and then they might help sponsor the happy hour, or they'll have a representative there who will provide education. The team at the Hawk does specialty cocktails for us. They'll do a flight for us. So it's a good time. It's super chill and just drop in.
Just have a good time. The Hawk is always a good time. I love the Hawk.
Yeah.
They always have really good cocktails too, and they're like seasonal. I don't know, was it called like a seasonal cocktail where they have a cocktail list that's seasonal, like
Yeah.
same as like a chef's menu seasonal produce?
Exactly.
Yeah, they always have really good seasonal cocktails. I'm like, damn, that was bomb. And then the slushies too.
The slushies are so
They
good.
destroy you though.
Yeah. It's like, oh, am I drinking juice? And the
Yeah.
next thing you know, you can't walk.
Yeah, exactly. So let's cheers to Women Who Whiskey for being around.
Cheers. Thanks for having me. So this whiskey is one that we picked specifically for our chapter. A group of our members traveled to Tennessee to the Jack Daniel's distillery, and we got to taste 3 different samples and choose our favorite one, and then they bottled it for us, and we partnered with U.S. Liquor.
Wow.
Oh, no, sorry, Emilio's Beverage Warehouse in Bellflower. We did another one with U.S. Liquor. And so there's only 240 bottles in existence. And so once they're gone forever. So it's really cool.
We're drinking history.
We're drinking history.
That's awesome. How have you guys ever done an event where you have all the chapters come together? Is there like one big one?
No, we haven't. Like we did it on
hard.
Zoom.
It seems very hard to do.
On COVID. During COVID,
yeah.
we like all got together. We've collaborated with the Los Angeles chapter for things, but everybody else is kind of far away.
Just doing their own thing. It's funny because I was watching this movie last night called Bike Riders, and it's about these bike gangs, or they were more chapters when it first started, and they weren't about violence and drug trafficking yet. They're just about riding motorcycles, and that was it. And then once that first chapter kind of like started to fizzle out, other chapters just started making their own kind of thing, and then turned into like a very violent biker gang instead of just being about motorcycles. So I think it's like I never really knew about the history.
Well, we'll see if that's our future. If we get super violent.
It's all the other chapters are doing their own thing. I don't know what's going on here. It's not even about whiskey anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely about whiskey, but every chapter has like their own unique way that they do things. The LA chapter, that's really where I started, and that president, her name's Kim O'Hannison. She does like 4 or 5 events a month, which is insane.
That's very hard.
Yeah, and so I do like 2 to 3 a month, but really most chapters do 1 a month. Some do 1 a quarter.
Wow.
So
putting on events is insane.
Putting on events is a lot.
Coordinating with a bunch of people is very hard.
Yeah, so we'll partner with different bars and restaurants and then bring a brand out, and then we'll do a tasting, and again, focused on education. So most of those events are ticketed. The Hawk is really the only thing we do that's a drop-in event. Every once in a while, we'll get a brand that has a lot of money, and they'll say like, oh, we're going to drop $3,000 and this is free for everybody. So
that's awesome.
That's only happened twice, but it was pretty amazing.
What happens at those kind of events?
Actually, what happens a lot is people don't come when they're free, because then everybody like says they're coming. And then so for the last one, I made everyone pay $10. And then when they showed up, I just gave them their $10 back, just so they had some skin in the game to show up.
Got it.
But
That's smart.
For the most part, like people do not get messy. Sometimes it happens, but we're pretty education focused, and so no one's like doing shots or anything like that.
It's an educational drinking.
Yeah, I mean, no shame for people who do shots. Like,
Yeah.
I say drink whatever you want, however you want it.
I don't do shots unless it's been like a rough day, and I'm just like, just give me a shot now.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen very often, but sometimes I'll need it. So how long have you lived in Long Beach for? I mean, you said you're born and raised here.
Like literally my whole life. I was
That's a
born in
stupid
Long
question.
Beach. I went to all Long Beach schools. I went to preschool at Long Beach City College, and then elementary, middle school. I went to Milliken. Go Rams. Then I went to Long Beach City College and for college, and yeah, I love Long Beach.
Yeah. How did you initially get into Women Who Whiskey? Like, what were you doing in that time period where you're like, hey, I want to join this chapter? Like, how did you get into it? Like, how did that all start?
Well, I have a daughter who's an adult, and when she went to college, I was like, I don't know what to do with my life anymore, because I was such an involved mom, And I really found that I didn't have any hobbies at all. Like my whole hobby was
your
my
daughter,
child,
yeah.
like taking her to volleyball and like nagging her about doing her homework. And then she moved away for college, and I'm like, what do I even like? And so
identity crisis.
yeah, pretty much. And so I started taking tennis lessons and going to yoga. And then I was a single mom for most of her life. And then I got married the year after that. She moved away. And then my husband and I started going on date nights, and we started having cocktails. And I was really never a drinker before, not opposed to it. I just didn't do it. So I didn't really know what I liked. And I found I really liked cocktails. And I really liked going to bars on off nights where the bartenders have time to chat with you.
And it's not like crazy and
Yeah.
packed and not a bunch of like crazy people.
Yeah,
There's-
like when
it's nice when a bar is empty and you can hang out with the bartender and just have a drink
Absolutely.
and relax. It's almost like going to a coffee shop in the morning and no one's there, and you can just get a coffee with the barista.
Yeah.
Just hang out and sit down and enjoy your coffee.
Yeah, and I feel like if you're cool, like they're cool. So just sitting at a bar and then expecting nothing, but just trying to figure out like what makes an old fashioned, and then what happens if you sub this out, and then what happens if you take something away. And so really in a matter of 3 months, I was drinking whiskey neat, and I was like, oh, this is what I like. I don't really want all
am
the
I?
other stuff. Yeah.
Who is this person?
And then Women Who Whiskey LA formed, and so I started going to their events, and again, like really liking the education, and I'm just all
The
in.
community and
yeah.
everything about it, just being together and all having the same ideologies.
Yeah, and I'm like really nerdy in that I want to know all the things. Like who made this? Why did they make it? Where did they make it? What makes this a rye? And I also like, because you can't know everything, and it was like this brand new thing for me to learn all about. So I just went all in and then started my own chapter. Here I am.
Go Long Beach.
Go Long Beach.
I'm going to ask you a controversial question.
Okay.
What are your top 3 bars in Long Beach?
That is a controversial question. Definitely the Hawk, because they're so supportive of us, and it's just the chillest vibe. I feel the hospitality at the Hawk is amazing. But I also feel like the Hawk is like everything Long Beach. Like you have, like every neighborhood is just there chilling at the bar. I also love the Grasshopper. And then, to pick 3 is really, really hard. There's a brand new one in Belmont Shore called Angel Share. So they just opened like 2 months ago.
It's a whiskey bar.
It's a whiskey bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll say them because I'm really into
The whiskey.
the whiskey.
Obviously, Women Who Whiskey.
Yeah.
And the chef is female too.
Yeah. So
she's
she used to
awesome.
come to our
Chef
events.
Melissa.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I haven't been there yet, but I definitely need to go check it out.
Yeah.
It's right there where it used to be a tap room.
Yeah, it was Long Beach Tap Room.
Yeah.
And they do Whiskey Wednesday. So every Wednesday, they're kind of doing what we're doing, where they're just bringing out a rep to do education. And you just start a tab. And if you want education, there's someone there to share that information with you. And if you don't want to talk to anybody, you do not have to. You can just drink.
Just drink. So how can people find out more about Women Who Whiskey if they're interested in coming to an event that you guys are hosting?
We're on Instagram, so it's Women Who Whiskey LBC. And then you can also sign up as a member. It's free. You can just Google Women Who Whiskey, and then it'll show you all of the different chapters, and then you can sign up as a member in Long Beach, and then you get on our email list. So people who are signed up as members get about a 24-hour head start on tickets for events. And then after 24 hours, if there's any tickets left, I post it
Do
on
they
Instagram.
sell out pretty fast?
Yeah. I mean, we've sold out pretty much every event since everything reopened after
Wow.
COVID. But the fastest ones are we do back-to-back nights with Olavash Cheese Shop on 4th Street. We pair whiskey and cheese, and those sell out so
Wow.
quickly. And like, people will see me on the street and be like, "When are you doing that next one? And can you give me a head start?" I'm like,
What's the pairing like for whiskey and cheese? I'm very curious.
It's amazing.
Like the profiles, I'm just like, I don't really understand it because I don't drink that much. But like, if say, what's one tasting that you had from like a certain whiskey that you remember the most, and then like a piece of cheese that they had there?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of flavor profile did it give off where you're like, whoa, this is crazy, like these two things together?
I mean, that's really what we're going for. Like, R&D for this whiskey and cheese night is my favorite, when we just all get together. Like, the brand rep brings all these bottles, and then Erica and Jessica, the owners of Olavash, and then we just sit there and we taste the whiskey, and we're like, and then they're the experts and will say, I think this cheese. But like, oftentimes they're like, let's try these 6 cheeses. And I'm like, okay, if you want to. Twist my arm. I do it for the people.
It's like, oh no, I have to eat cheese.
Yeah, and drink.
Yeah, what?
But really what we're going for are 2 great flavors, but then that completely changes, like, once you put them together.
Like a funky cheese.
Sometimes funky. I think the last one we did was with Westward whiskey out of Oregon, and we did this pairing with Coco's Gouda, which is one of my favorites. It's like mildly coconut flavored, and then with one of their, I don't remember which of their whiskeys, but it was mind-blowing.
Wow.
Like, I almost started screaming. I was like, it was just like, as soon as we tasted it, we're like, done. This
This
pairing,
it.
done. And then yeah, but it's super fun.
Wow, that sounds interesting. I want to go to one.
Yeah, you should come. I think we're going to do it again in
Yeah.
November.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely never done a whiskey and cheese pairing, so I'm very interested in that. Usually it's like wine and cheese, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just something very different. I think it's fun. It's fun to do new things.
Yeah.
And like, who doesn't love tasting also?
Right. And you learn so many new things.
Yeah, and your mouth goes crazy. You're like, what just happened?
Yeah, and I think too, like, with something that's really approachable and beloved like cheese, we've had lots of people who've come to this event with a friend who loves whiskey, but they're not really into whiskey. And typically what happens is, like, somebody in high school or early in college, like, had some Lafroig or some like Wild Turkey 101, which they are absolutely not ready for. And then they got super sick. And then they've spent like the next 10, 15 years going, oh, I can't drink whiskey. I don't like it. And really, it's just finding the whiskey you like. So if you have it with cheese, I feel like a lot of people are more open to like, okay, well, let me try that. And I've had so many people just say, oh, I didn't know
I didn't realize
whiskey could taste like this.
Yeah. I've heard that so many times with just food. Like, oh, this is the funniest one. I hate mushrooms, but this
Right.
mushroom dish was amazing. I was like, well, you probably have never had mushrooms prepared for you
Yeah.
the right way your entire life. I'm sorry, I've never been to like a proper restaurant.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny.
And I think too, like, nobody really liked coffee the first time they had it. No one liked beer the first time they had it. Like, you have to train your palate to.
I mean, I didn't like whiskey until probably about like 4 years ago. And I don't know how I got into it, but I think I just like started drinking old fashions. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I think when you get older, I'm just like, oh, it's too sweet. I don't want sweet anymore. Like, just give me it on the rocks now. And I'm like, that's good. Like, I don't need to get an old fashioned anymore. Maybe you could throw the orange pill in there still, but I don't need the bitters and all that rest of the stuff.
Exactly.
But yeah, cheers to that.
Cheers.
So, what kind of other events do you have after the cheese tasting? Just that one?
No, we do a ton of different
Okay.
things. I like to be really creative, and I like to plan events that I think would be fun. So once we did a whiskey and Halloween candy pairing. We've done whiskey and Girl Scout cookie pairings. I also, again, like, I'm born and raised in Long Beach. I love to support Long Beach businesses. So we worked with an esthetician, Susan Hammond, who has a skincare studio. And so she did like education about skincare. And then there's this other photographer in Long Beach, Kelly Brooks. And so we had, we called it the Glow Up with Whiskey event. And so we had a brand come out and do education and tasting. And then Susan did this whole thing on skincare. And then everyone who attended got a professional headshot for like their LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever they wanted to do. So I just try and come up with fun ideas. Yeah.
And that's awesome. And also supporting the local business here in Long Beach.
Yeah, we're very community-based, this chapter. And definitely I want people to have a good time at our events. But if we can be having a good time while also supporting a small business and a local business, then it's just a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, I'm all about that. So thank you so much for being a part of Long Beach and supporting all local businesses. This is definitely what we need. This is what I love. This is why I love doing this podcast, is talking to people like you. Just, it's awesome. I love what you guys are doing. It was really fun to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you.
I'll be seeing you at the Hoxton.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'm going to bring my mom.
Yeah.
My mom would love your guys' Women Who Whiskey.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like everybody can come. So we have a whole group of guys that come every single month. And like a super fun story is 2 guys met at the Women Who Whiskey event. And then one of them was moving and they asked the other guy to help them move. And so they did. And then afterwards they went to a bar and the bartender was like, "Where did you guys meet?" And then one of the guys was like, "Okay, hear me out. We're in this club called Women Who Whiskey, but we're allowed to come." And I just think that's so great.
Yeah,
and that
awesome.
just really embodies Long Beach.
Doesn't care. Whatever.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want.
Come through. Just be cool. Be nice.
Yeah. And don't mansplain.
Don't mansplain.
That's all the time we have for today. Make sure you guys follow Women Who Whiskey on Instagram and check them out. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you. Cheers.